hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. Yeah, you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my head again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow. I've been caught in the undertow. Toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my head. Get you out of my head
Please note,
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. Run my own way to get there. Throws a coin and the I don't seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Now that I need you anyway. I never wanted to be alive, just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat down, I cross the lines just to tell you. Don't lead the way, don't leave a sign. Then I turn with a child playing parade. I feel like I'm fading.
And boom, just like that, it's Thursday night. And you know what that means? It's party time with us. It's the Video Bros. I'm Bobby Munson, and the man beside me, he's the man with the angelic voice. He's Papa Spokes. Papa Spokes, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Munson. It's Thursday again. I'm ready to do a podcast. I'm ready to talk some wrestling. And how are all my wrestling people doing out there?
Hopefully everybody's been having a kick-ass week so far. I know if you're living in our neck of the woods, Papa Smoke, it's getting a little windy, getting a little bit colder. It's getting a little bit snowy out there tonight, but that's just the fun of living in Saskatchewan. We can go from a nice, beautiful, sunny +2 day like today to a -20-something day tomorrow with snow blowing in our faces.
And you know what it is, Munson? If you check your weather app, it's the Arctic vortex. That's something that Canadians get, probably some of the Northern Americans too. And it is just what the term describes. It's an Arctic vortex. It's windy. the temperatures go way, way down. Ooh, it's going to be fun for a while.
You bet. And joining us up in the house, it's our good friend Bobby Stats. Bobby, how are you doing? He says
Bobby.
it's cold there too. Bobby was letting me know, Pop Smokes, he actually got snow recently in his neck of the woods. But yeah, so a little unexpected, little bit of shift of weather there for our good friend Bobby Stats. But yes, it's been not too bad out here this last couple of days, Papa Smokes. It got nice and warm. It was beautiful out for a couple of days, but of course, we're going to be hunkering down for a cold weekend by the sounds of it. But that's okay because you know what? Anytime there's a weekend to hunker down and spend indoors, you can always do it watching shows here on OLE. We got shit all over the place. There's all sorts of good things going on. So tune on in. We got plenty for you. And speaking of plenty for you, we got lots to talk about, Papa Smokes. We got a great show to talk about. Our friends at IPW New Zealand. Shout out to them. We're going to be reviewing their Fans Bring the Weapons 2024 card here, the most recent upload to their YouTube channel. I'm also going to throw up their YouTube channel link here in the show so that people can also go to it and check them out and, sub to their channel as well, too. But Pop Smokes, I don't know. I know our good friend James Shaw joined us on the show last week. First of all, big shout out to James Shaw, David Dunn, and Ost for one of the most kick-ass episodes of Ring Respect Radio ever last week. That full history of New Zealand professional wrestling was you and I didn't even have to do anything. It was the best part. And I've gone back and listened to the episode a few times now, Papa Smokes. I love that episode.
Me too. I've been on a little high, just bumping along all week, thinking about what an excellent episode that was. Lots of listener interaction going on within that, but such a nice detailed history laid out by David, Ost, and James. And I was just struck by some of the similarities of the studies we've been doing lately on Canadian wrestling. It really developed in a very similar way. Very easy to get a grasp on what was going down there in New Zealand, but the beauty of it is it's a different place. It's across the world from where we are, so things are just a little different. And they have such excellent product in the past and then coming out now, too. I can feel the energy from the companies we've been watching. We're going to talk about some of that tonight. It's really cool, the scene they've got going on there.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. And, if you want to check out our good friends over at IPW New Zealand, where David Dunn is the general manager and the Divine Light James Shaw, of course, looking to get himself towards the 5th time as the IPW New Zealand champion, a history-making 5-time champion if he gets there, Papa Smoke. And he's going to try everything he can to get there. But if you want to check this out, go check out IPW New Zealand on demand, IPW NZ on demand on YouTube. Their shows are absolutely free. They put out a great product, and I know you're not going to be disappointed. A lot of great stuff going on that we're going to be talking about here tonight. As we got another friend joining us at our house, it's our boy Basser. Hello, boys. Bobby Stats in the house, Bobby Tito in the house. Boys, I'm 16 days off the MJ and haven't felt better in years. Hope you guys are having a great 2025 so far. Hey, I mean, good on you, Bass. I'm not going to, say anybody should or shouldn't stick to that kind of method. If you feel great, that's the best part about it, my brother. That is, I, on the other hand, I can't say I've gone more than 25 minutes without any. So, but that's just the way I roll. That's just the way I roll. It's how it is. But I hope you're doing great. And yes, and Bobby coming in. It's always nice to learn about new talents. Well, Bobby, we've got some great new talents to talk about here tonight. Some cool shit going on in this particular show. So, Pop Smokes, ready?
Bobby, you better buy a new stats book. We've got lots of new talent for you tonight.
We really do. All right, so we're going to start this thing off with the show opener, Pop Smokes. This one, the combination of church and state. Sorry. Before I do, actually, we're just going to cut in. It's our good friend Mick Wiggins up in the house joining us here tonight. Hey, legends, I'm 16 days on the MJ, and I feel all right. Well done, brother. Yes, we are 16 days. 16 days into this year so far. So 16 days on, yeah. But I don't know if there's been any days off ever for. I think Papa Smokes even came out as a child, just lighting him up as he goes.
It didn't take me too long, but yeah.
There we go. But yes, I mean, again, whatever makes a person feel good, that's what it's all about. And we're having a great year here in 2025. Nice to see y'all, lads. Good job, Basser. It's not easy to kick. That's right, exactly. And good on Basser for being his best self here in 2025 so far, man. That's good news to hear all around. SDG's joining us here in the house. Going out for a business dinner, but please have a great show. We will do that, sir. Thank you for stopping
brother.
by. Always glad to have you here. Looking forward to having you out again soon. We're going to run trivia again here sometime soon to STG. So make sure you're ready for that. Hopefully, probably by the end of the month, we're going to be doing more trivia here on Ring Respect Radio. But let's get into it. Church and State, Papa Smokes, the team of James Shaw and Sir Mr. Burns. They're going to be taking on Spartan and Horace. I want to say Horus now, but it's Horace here in New Zealand. That's getting confusing for me already. But let's talk for a minute about church and state. So this is a very interesting combination or idea. So Sir Mr. Burns is part of a faction that is called the New Nats? Is that what it was that they are?
The Young Nats.
The Young Nats. There it is. So these guys, and I'm not trying to get all political here. We're not going to get political on the show, but they are basically a political movement that is very reminiscent of the MAGA agenda. And they are there to irritate the masses when it comes to their presentation, the red ball cap, everything of the sort. This group is the hated group. And to make things worse, they have the Divine Light, James Shaw, right there. A guy who, just when you think might be able to garner sympathy, makes everybody despise him time and time again. I know we talk his praises. When you talk James Shaw, the guy who sits here with us, is a totally different man. The Divine Light, on the other hand, is one of the nastiest villains in all of professional wrestling today.
Oh, what a strange mix they make also, and yet they kind of make it work together, especially with the name Church and State. It makes a lot of sense, and just having this organized religion con man just involved with these politicians, it's just lies upon lies upon lies. And it kind of shows you the heat that Trump and his party have. They're even getting heat with that look down in New Zealand. It's an effective presentation.
It really is, yeah. So, of course, the opposing team are the ones that the fans are getting behind. The Spartan and Horace are out there. Again, these are a lot of big, sizable boys in this matchup here. A lot of good back and forth between the two teams. A great way, again, to start the show. This had the crowd eating out of the palm of their hand. And that crowd, IPW crowd, is great. Those are some vocal-ass fans. They get right into it. I felt a big energy coming off of that audience, a really big energy, very reminiscent of what we experience when we do Prairie Pro Wrestling.
Very much so. They're loud and they let you know. And as we're going to see throughout this card, we'll get a few more glimpses of the crowd. Munson, I always like to see the people. I like it when the camera shows you a bit of the crowd, where everybody's sitting, somewhat the composition of who's there and everything. We'll get a nice peek at the crowd later on in this card.
Yeah, we really did, especially in that main event that we're going to be talking about. So this matchup, the finish to this one comes about James Shaw ends up kind of rescuing things for his team. He gets to the outside. We are left in the middle of the ring with Sir Mr. Burns and Horace. Horace has been laid out by James Shaw, and James Shaw is on the outside keeping Spartan at bay. And Sir Mr. Burns locks on that submission hold, forces the submission for the victory, and they get the win. Church and State with the big victory. But the story here is that Sir Mr. Burns got the victory in this matchup, despite James having to do all the work in order to get to that position. It almost makes you go, is there going to be potential for dissension with this group? Are Church and State exactly two things that should be mixing? And are we going to see those two entities collide at some point in time? Very interesting tension that we're going to have here. But the tension, not just on that side of the fence, but between Spartan and Horace as well, too. These two guys had tension going into this matchup, and in a loss, found themselves kind of not at ease with each other at all. Definitely a lot of bad blood between the competitors in this fight.
Yeah, that was one of the big stories in this match too, is that Spartan and Horus. See, now I'm saying it too. Selena De La Renta trained us in MLW that it's not Horus, it's Horus, and she drilled that home so many times. I still pronounce it the Spanish way, but these two big beasts, these guys are main eventers. These guys are former New Zealand champions. Uh, Having said that, they've battled each other in many high stakes matches many times in the past. So the remnants of those matches remain with those two guys. So it was kind of an uneasy alliance in the first place. And you could see that it was holding back their ability to win this match with their constant dissension and distrust of each other. So that being another story in this match, the church and state go over with Sir Mr. Burns as the guy getting the tap out. And this is causing all kinds of ripples throughout church and state. We're used to seeing James Shaw kind of taking the leading uh, role in his groups, and he'll always lie and connive his way into getting what he wants out of the group. In this situation, he isn't getting it, and he's not happy about it.
No, not at all. We will talk a little bit more about that very soon, Papa Smokes. Going over to the next match on this card, we had a gentleman by the name of Matty Short taking on Perfect Peter Parr. And the first note I've got here is that we need to find a way to hook up Matty Short with Levi Knight in a tag team, because those two are two peas in a pod, and I think would have made an interesting combination as tag team partners.
Yeah, Bunsen, I also have that exact same thing written in my notes.
Perfect.
And they could also give the Rhinestone Cowboy a run for his money in the dancing department.
They sure could. Yeah, so Matty Short's got that dancing, that funny, goofy dance about him and everything. He comes out here. Perfect Peter Parr comes out, and he looks stylish. This is a guy who obviously they say is fairly new. The commentary puts both these guys out as being kind of newer to the business, or at least not tons of years behind them, like some of the members of the roster. And we got Perfect Peter Parr, very stylish with that minx coat that he comes out with. He looks like a guy that you're going to pay attention to. Good looking lad, does a really nice job. You can tell that the company trusts in Peter Parr to be somebody down the road to kind of go up to that next level. He is someone that they're looking in early to rise to the top of the card sometime down the line as he continues to build his momentum and his ability inside the ring.
For sure. And instead of bringing him to a quick boil, they're going to simmer this guy for a while and put him towards the bottom of the card and get him some reps. Put him in the trenches with all different kinds of styles, and just watch this guy season up and turn into a mid or top of the card competitor. And you can see that the seeds are there. He looks good already. He'll polish everything up as he goes along, and they'll have a star in their company in Peter Parr.
They really will. Bobby mentioning how about interview them on Ring Respect Radio in reference to Levi Knight, Matty Short. Hey, that would be quite an interesting interview, having Levi Knight and Matty Short on at the same time here on Ring Respect. Great suggestion there, Bobby. We'll have to look into that. But yeah, so again, Peter Package. I wanted to say Peter Package there because I'm coming to the finish of this matchup. And this is bad because even the commentary got a little bit on the make sure that no kids were in the room side when they were calling the finish to this matchup. The finish was quite comical. The ref gets distracted. Perfect Peter Parr hits the low blow on Matty Short and then hits his big finish known as the small package. And they couldn't stop referencing everything about how great Peter Parr's small package really is. And all it is a typical small package roll up in wrestling. And he gets the win. One of the most arrogant ways to finish a match I've seen in a long time. And I loved it. The cynical part of me really loved how they ended this matchup.
Oh, same. And with the whole small package thing, they're building something for him, right? They're throwing a fastball to the crowd that they could just hit out of the park with chants and heckling and all the rest of it. They're going to bring Parr up as a heel and get him into the middle of the card, and this should work just fine. I also have in my notes here that David Dunn said at one point about Matty short and sweet and shaking his meat. That was thought that was kind of catchy as well. But seriously for a moment about this match too, we talk about the booking of live show cards and about the different strategies that you can use. I like the way IPW does this, excuse me, because they put a hot match with some veterans on first, and then this match second. The fans are already acclimatized to the room. They've had some action, they've had some good stuff. This was still a very good, serviceable match. It was quite fine, but this whole card would have looked different with this match on first.
Yes.
So I like the way they did it. This match belongs the second spot, and then the match with Spartan and Horus in the first match to really bring up the crowd. This is a perfect example of that strategy in action. I think it's a good one.
Yeah. And then right after the finish of this matchup, we kind of got a little bit of impromptu stuff going on as well, too. So David Dunn makes his way down to the ring because David Dunn, not only on the commentary, but pulling double duty as the GM of IPW, comes on down, grabs that mic, and he tells Jack Maximum, the manager of Perfect Peter Parr, that he's going to be in singles action tonight. Jack Maximum essentially, yep, I agree. He's going to be in a match. Music hits, and Vinny Dunn, a great job selling this guy because, again, you and I not accustomed to who Vinny Dunn is, but Vinny Dunn's music hits, former 4-time IPW New Zealand champion, good sizable boy, comes down to the ring. And then, of course, the dude on the stick, his name's Troy Daniels. He hits that note on Vinny Dunn. Beautifully hit on that introduction there. Absolutely phenomenal. And yes, this match kicks off on Vinny Dunn picking up a victory. So an interesting introduction to Vinny Dunn and great impromptu match. I liked the addition there. Thought it was perfectly served where it was.
For sure. And I also enjoyed that introduction a lot, Munson. That guy's after your heart with that one for sure. But yeah, this Jack Maximum, you can see that he was probably a wrestler in the past. He's a huge guy. He's got a big beard and everything too, but probably not so mobile anymore. But I'm not sure what happened here. I kind of have the feeling, wasn't there supposed to be Dunn against somebody, or pardon me, Vinny Dunn against somebody else, and then they had to put Jack Maximum in. At any rate, a very short match, but just pushing their angle forward a little bit for this section.
You bet, yeah. So here's an interesting matchup up next, Papa Spokes, and this one is a little bit of a spectacle, maybe a little bit of a squash. We've got Big J Rilla taking on Chad Atlas, and man, J Rilla, what a massive mountain of a human being he is. This guy looks dangerous, but he's the dangerous fun side of things because the fans like J Rilla. They keep talking about nobody's been able to stop him. This man has been steamrolling everybody in IPW. So again, now my attention's on it. It's like, okay, this is a big boy. He's been picking up these big wins. He comes in here. Chad Atlas puts him over massively, especially with the fact that this ends with J Rilla 1 foot on the chest of Chad Atlas to get the 3 count. I'm awoken. Welcome to the J Rilla. I'm interested to see more of him. There wasn't a lot in this matchup in particular, but I think that was because it was designed to serve a purpose of making J Rilla look like this unstoppable monster until they have the right opponent to get in there with him where they're going to mix it up. And I think being able to mix it up a little bit more, we're going to see with the next opponent that they do have for him that got announced later in the evening.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Munson, and with J Rilla, or the Great Ape as they were calling him. Wow.
Yeah.
What a presentation on that guy. He's just absolutely massive. He's got that giant head and that giant lantern jaw and all that stuff. He's really a crazy looking guy. and looks like an absolute steamroller. So this guy's the monster of IPW, but he's a babyface. So they have Chad Atlas come in, who's an Australian. So he jumps on the mic and New Zealand ain't this and New Zealand ain't that. You had the crowd pretty grumpy for a while there. You could hear the groans and the heckling coming.
Oh,
They
there's
were
good
ready
ones with this. There was good ones during this.
for sure, and they were ready to have Chad Atlas get his mouth shut by a good New Zealander, and they got exactly that in about 4 minutes from Jay Rilla. And yeah, like you say, this is early in the card, but they're building something here, right? And Jay Rilla, we're gonna find out a little bit more about him in a few minutes to come later on in this card, but you can see that the momentum's behind him and the crowd likes the big guy because he's going to stop him.
Yeah, loving it, loving it. You know what else I love? I love when more people join us up here, and our boy BDJ's up in the house. Better late than never. What's up, boys? How you doing, BDJ? Thanks for stopping in. Bobby saying, who knows, any companies could be checking out the wrestlers in IPW. Hey, I hope that for the sake of the wrestlers in New Zealand, I hope that a lot of companies start checking out that market, because I believe it is very strongly untapped market of talent that they do have down there. I think there's a lot of wrestlers there that could easily make that transition over to the North American market and work with the companies like at AEW and WWE. There's definitely the talent there in New Zealand for sure.
No doubt. And as Austin David explained to us last week, it's kind of an extra little hurdle being from New Zealand and or Australia, because they don't get the scouting down there. Like, it's just so geographically far away that you don't have influential wrestling people from North America attending a show here and there, or watching it here and there, or being acquainted with some of the talent. It's very geographically isolated. So in order for those guys to get noticed, they have to hone their craft at home and then make the jump, as K9 and Moody did, up to UK and England, and then some other ones such as Dakota Kai and all that come over to North America, start working the circuits here, and just hope that you get seen by the right people in order to maybe move up into one of the big companies.
Yeah, exactly. So from here, we got intergender tag team matchup next on the card, Papa Smokes. We got the team of Sheehan and the Saint taking on Savage and Stone. This one was quite all out interesting, I found. Because I found the heels got so under the skin of the fans, especially Stone. Will Stone is just got a slappable face, and he is so greasy. He comes out and he had everybody wanting to lynch him the second he walked out. And then he goes up, and those kids have those lightsabers ready for the main event with the fans bring the weapons. Yeah. And he grabs one of them, breaks it in half, and just no F's to give it all this guy. And then at the same time, you got Savage rolling down there. He's got some contract in his hand, something to do with something going on. I didn't quite catch the full story there, but he's just smoking a stogie on the way down to the ring. These two guys look like a couple of grade A assholes, and you're just waiting for somebody to come out and beat them up. And then you get the form of Sheehan and the Saint, and they are vicious. These two, they went at it hard. This was a solid back and forth tag team matchup. I really found myself enjoying this.
Yeah, same. And really the story of this match for me was all the heat that Stone was getting, because, wow, he's a heat magnet.
Oh, yeah.
What an absolute little jerk. He's almost kind of like a Maxwell Jacob Friedman, but with ADD, kind of like he's just all over the place, pissing the people off on this side. Now he's over up to the barricade, pissing these people off. And he garners so much heat that the fans really want and need that payoff. So they needed a good team on the other side to really lay some licks in and put some hurt on Stone.
Yeah, and I'm just making a note here at 29 minutes. We got to get a clip made of the ADHD MJF comparison. That is absolute gold there, Papa Smokes. I love that comparison, and it's fantastic. So yeah, the whole time I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this matchup is good, it's solid, I'm into it, but it's Stone. He's so good at pissing everybody off that it was working throughout the whole thing. And then to add to the matter, Savage and Stone not only win this matchup, but as after the match is done and Saint is checking on Sheehan, they just go and F Saint up, like just completely beat her right down. And Will Stone continues to just get more heat. He gets heat from the moment he walks out to the moment he walks back into that locker room. He was a heat magnet, like you said, absolutely dynamite. I loved this whole thing from start to finish.
No, same, and he's clearly kind of the story of this match, and like I said, the fans are salivating to see this guy get his ass kicked and get what he's got coming to him, and to get that yappy mouth shut up. They didn't get it this time. Okay,
No.
so this is my first IPW show. We're kind of jumping in the middle here, so now I want to see what happens because I want to see him get his butt kicked as well. But I have the feeling that we might be chasing that for a while because he's very clever and very wily, and he gets himself out of a lot of situations as he does in this match. So we'll see if he gets his comeuppance at some point.
We're here for it. That's for sure. We're going to make these regular reviews, Pop Smokes. We're going to tune in until we get that
Yes.
opportunity to
Yes.
witness it. Next matchup, we've got Barry Burrito, the Warner Cup champion,
Yeah, wow.
taking on. Yeah, what a name, eh? Barry Burrito. I hope he doesn't mind Taco Tuesdays. But we got him taking on Tane Tukaha. I hope I pronounced Tukaha right. I got that pronunciation
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, that's how they were saying it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tukaha is part of church and state on the state side of things, because of course we only got one on the church side of things throughout this thing. This really was again squash. They kind of sold the idea that Barry Burrito was lucky to find himself in the match to win the Warner Cup, and then shocked everybody by winning it. And then he goes up against this big man, Tane Tukaha, and Tukaha just annihilates him, wins this thing, becomes the new Warner Cup holder. And then we've got Church and State standing in the middle of the ring. We've got then Sir Mr. Burns getting on a microphone saying that because he won earlier in the night, he's the one that deserves the Warner Cup because he's also a former Warner Cup winner. So he needs to be whatever the record breaker. I think that would make him the record amount of Warner Cup wins if he takes it away. So he just takes the cup away from Tukaha, claims himself the winner. So David Dunn has to get involved. He gets himself in there again and says that, fantastic, you want to be the holder of the Warner Cup? Well, the holder of the Warner Cup is going to have themselves a match at our next card against the Great Ape Jay Rilla. And the look on Sir Mr. Burns' face as he just tosses that thing right back to Tukaha and says, no, I'm out. Brilliant work from Sir Mr. Burns on that. The selling that he did in not wanting to get anywhere near the Great Ape was masterclass in selling.
Oh yeah, absolutely awesome. And this match, we're kind of jumping in the middle here. I get the feeling that Barry Burrito is kind of a job guy that once in a while wins a match, and as you said, he kind of like stumbled his way into winning the Warner Cup, which must be their version of the Opera Cup. That's the one we know, Munson, from North America here. But anyway, match didn't last long. Tukaha's a huge guy, very strong, very big. Wonder what they've got planned for him in the future. But he makes this match very fast with a couple of big spine busters. And then, the drama happens afterwards with the cup. How badly Sir Mr. Burns wanted that cup. And then, boy, once he realized who his first challenger was, he didn't want it at all anymore. Now Church and State are handing this cup around like it's a hot potato. Nobody wants to hold it. And some laughs to the crowd. Sorry, some laughs for the crowd. And now we've got a match and an angle set up for the future. And it's pumping Jay Rilla at the same time that the other wrestlers are afraid to get in the ring with him. You might get squashed flat with this guy, right? So
Mhm.
very interesting. We'll see what happens with this cup eventually. I can't wait for the next show, but Sir Mr. Burns might be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, it's gonna end up that it's gonna be, I believe it's Tukaha that's gonna end
Yeah,
up
yeah,
the fight with Jay Rilla. I
that's right.
believe eventually Jay Rilla is gonna get his hands on Sir Mr. Burns in the process, but
Oh
he'll take on
yes,
Tukaha. I think Tukaha's a big enough boy that we're gonna get a bit more of a fight than we saw earlier in the night with the Jay Rilla matchup. I think that they're gonna have
oh yeah.
Tukaha give him a bit of a match. But at the same time, I believe if it's going the direction it's going, Jay Rilla is going to find himself with the victory in this one, taking the World Cup. But hell, I could be wrong. With Church and State by his side, maybe Tukov, by shenanigans, finds a way to beat the Great Ape, and that's the brag after that. The big brag is, I am the guy that finally beat the Great Ape, Jay Rilla. And we got more friends joining us in the house, Papa Spokes. It's the Natural Astrid Pizarro joining us. Hello, Astrid. Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate that. But yeah, it's either way, I'm sold on this. I can't wait to watch Tukaw and Jay Rilla. I think this is going to be one big boy match that I can get behind.
Oh, it'll be like King Kong versus Godzilla with those two guys. So we'll have a probably a slower moving match, but with a lot of power. And imagine some of the bumps that might come out of this match. And I can't wait. I hope it's on their next event that gets put on YouTube because we got to see and review this one, Bob.
You bet. I believe it is. I'm trying to remember what the order is. I've seen the order. There's a couple of shows that they're ahead by in versus what's actually
Yeah,
been released onto YouTube
yeah.
itself. So those will be coming up very soon. I'm sure the next one will be right around the corner. Looking forward to it. And hopefully this match is on there. So moving right along, the next match is our tag team championship match, kind of the second last match of the night before we get to that big fans bring the weapons matchup. Tag team matchup, the champions, Big Adventure, the Big Adventure going up against the New Blood in this one. The New Blood's the champions. New Blood come out looking like a formidable tag team. They kind of look like a great pairing together. Big
Yeah.
Adventure, they kind of looked like that mismatched team. They come out with the one guy's the big guy, the one guy's the small hyper guy, but of course they're the fun guys at the same time. The New Blood, not so much the fun guys, but still the baby faces. This is a baby face versus baby face match. The fans into both teams, like both teams, and of course, great solid work from both teams in this thing, really showing why they want those tag team titles or why they need to retain those tag team titles, of which the New Blood did. The New Blood in the end retaining despite, the great efforts of the Big Adventure throughout this one. And then the aftermath, Papa Smokes, we'll get to in a moment, but your thoughts on the match before we get to the aftermath here.
Oh, pretty solid. Quite a good tag team match. In particular, I thought the New Blood, or it looked like a good, talented tag team. I like the way they have the matching gear and everything. The one guy's got the mask, the one guy's got the face out. They look cool. Their presentation is good. They, as opposed to the team that they were against that night, the New Blood match. They're a team. They're a unit, and very impressive. I thought they looked good. Nothing, nothing that hit it out of the park for me in this match, but it was perfectly solid and quite good, quite worthy of a tag team title match in a good company like this.
You bet. And the thing that would stand out after the New Blood retains is afterwards, we get a visit from the Divine Light, James Shaw. He is some kind of PO'd here, Papa Smokes, because he comes out and lays an attack like nobody's business on Tommy Fusion. Just absolutely decimates him. James was not a happy boy this evening. He's finding out that he might not be the next one to get the championship matchup. He's chasing that fifth-time championship here in IPW, and he did not like the way this evening went for him, and so he took out his frustrations in a big way here.
Well, James is so good at doing that too. He shows his emotions. You can see when he does some of his promo segments, he's slimy and he's lying and he's manipulating. But on this occasion, we got to see his anger boil over, and he looks convincing. He looks scary. He's also looking big and strong too. He must be sticking to that gym routine that we talked to him about some months back when he was on the show. But looking good in this and really blowing off some steam. just laying it to Tommy Fusion, a couple of power bombs into the crowd barrier on the outside, and here was a glimpse of the fans right adjacent to this action. You could see the little kids back up with the scared face and everything, and it's like, oh yeah, that's so good to do that because when it scares you when you're a kid, you never forget that, and it makes a mark on you, and, and not in a bad way. It makes a memory for you, and you might be a wrestling fan for life after they get to you like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can't turn it off after that. It's ingrained in you for life kind of thing. So great work here from James Shaw once again. Despite the fact that it was with a little bit of viciousness towards another professional wrestler, but I'm sure Tommy Fusion will live to fight another day and maybe looking for a measure of revenge down the road. We will have to see. But we are now at that time, Papa Smokes. It is time for the main event of the evening. This match is scheduled for one fall.
One fall.
And it is the Fans Bring the Weapons matchup. And for the first time in IPW history, it is a women's matchup. It is for the championship. It is champion Frankie Queen defending against former four-time champion Megan Kate. And they did mention on commentary that if Megan Kate wins, she will break the company record as the first ever five-time IPW New Zealand women's champion. And again, I started thinking to myself, Frankie Quinn may be in a whole world of trouble here, Papa Smokes.
That's the first thing I thought of too, because being new to these talents, I was anxious to see what they were like. And when Megan Kate came out, what a cool entrance. She's with her faction called the Dynasty. What a cool entrance song she had. Hey, like, isn't that so important sometimes? I don't know who that was, but it was rocking. It was cool. It was confident. And she came out looking like that. She's good sized girl. She's athletic. She's got the big legs. She's got nice gear on and all in black, looking like a heel. And I had to say, I'm impressed with this right off the bat because her presentation was good. She came out looking like a badass. So now I want to see the baby face. And she came out looking pretty good too. But still, it looked like the baby face had an uphill battle and an uphill climb against Megan Kate.
Yeah, but man, they would go to war, Papa Smokes. And again, you and I like sometimes aren't always big into these gimmick matches. Depends on the situation. And again, this is the only gimmick match on this card. It is the way they do it every year. This is an event they do. There is always that one match that has this specific thing. So there's a history there. It has meaning. So these kind of ones, I'm accepting of those. And again, you got these two women that really need to settle the score here. Megan Kate wanted to become a five-time champion. Frankie Quinn wanting to continue to have this run as the champion as well too. And this was great. It never went overboard. Like the weapons that were used were some of the weapons you would normally see in these types of matches, but then some of the stuff the fans brought, it was comical. It was fun. The lightsabers that were there, the toy lightsabers, whacking them across each other. But I think my favorite parts were some of like between the canvas paintings that they had that had people like your head goes here or whatever it was on the painting. So they're smashing these things over to each other's head. Or then that lattice trace, that like, I believe it's that lattice trace that goes around your deck for growing vines on or something like that. And they're tug-of-warring the shit out of this thing back and forth. There was a lot of fun that these two put on. They put on a solid main event. They interacted properly with the fans. They laid out the rules for the fans as well too, that don't be throwing stuff at the wrestlers. They will come to you and use your stuff. And those two ladies tried to make the most out of everything that was being presented there and try to include the fans as much as possible. The fans were heavily into it. I was heavily invested in it, and it was great. And in the end, Megan Kate pulled it off and won the title again for the fifth time, breaking a company record. And what a great event and a solid main event to boot on top of that. After all we had seen already, these two ladies still brought the house down at the end of the night.
Very much so. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, just to echo your sentiments, I also am not the hugest fan of hardcore gimmick matches, but this one worked. The girls did a great job in this, and whoever laid out this match also, it was a little bit silly, a little bit fun, but also had the intensity of a ladies' title match. And the of course it comes down to the talent in the ring, right? These girls owned it, and it was a complete brawl. I love the way the match starts. The bell rings and just boom, they're right to the outside immediately. Like no action in the ring whatsoever.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
they're brawling over at the crowd barrier in front of the crowd. I know there's all kinds of weapons getting handed to them. So I made made a note of a few of the ones that I noticed. Plastic children's toys, traffic cones, the lightsabers came in. There was more lightsabers that came into effect. An oil painting,
yeah,
fly swatters,
yeah.
and then one of my favorites was the pool toy buoyant banana, which was wrapped
That
around
was great.
Megan Kate's face, kind of smothering her. This inflatable plastic rubber banana. Awesome, like hilarious. And you got
Yeah.
to tip your hat to the fans too, who get a chance to be involved and are clever and creative and have a sense of humor all their own too. So the wrestlers can build off of this. They did a great job, and I was thoroughly amused watching this.
Yeah, and there was a frying pan as well too. I almost forgot about the frying
Yeah,
pan. I was like,
yeah,
how are they going to go about using that frying pan? But then they pulled it in and give a good old whack across the backside, and away we go. Like it was, yeah.
yeah,
Again, like you said, the fans' involvement, the creativity, the banana. I mean, that was so priceless. I could see again this being done. We've seen a fans bring the weapons match here in Saskatoon. You and I were part of it, and it gets creative. It's always interesting. I would rather it get on the sillier side and the fun side with a banana being used in the way that it was used and stuff like that, because it brings in some of the sense of humor of the audience rather than seeing shit like light tubes and cheese graters and things like that, pizza cutters. That's not what I want to really see in these matchups. What we got, the silliness of it, I can respect it. I can respect its place on this card and where it's at and the way they handled it, in the sense that I can have fun with this. This works for me. I don't need the other garbage that really sets it on the wrong path.
yeah. Agreed. And with this kind of a match, and all the creative and hilarious weapons being used, they didn't do very many big dangerous bumps, which I kind of like, especially in a ladies match, but in any kind of match in truth. There was a couple of table spots and a couple of semi-dangerous bumps, but they weren't doing stuff where you're just dying inside thinking, no, please don't do this, you guys. Somebody's going to get themselves killed. No, it
Yeah.
wasn't like that. They did stuff that they could handle. They did the difficulty of 7, but executing at 9 or 10 kind of concept. That's the way you get a good looking match out of it. And they got their title change. They got their historical win with Kate getting the 5-time New Zealand ladies champion thing. There, boom. It was good. Kate also got juice in the match too. That made it look pretty
Yeah.
nice also. But now the fans not only get treated to a good match, a nice long match with all kinds of shenanigans, all kinds of wrestling and brawling throughout the crowd. So you get a good close up look at them. You get to interact by handing them your weapons and stuff. But then at the end of it, they announce first 5-time New Zealand ladies champion. All right, this crowd, we were part of a little piece of history here.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And doesn't that make the viewer, the spectator feel good in that position? I saw the match where something historical happened. Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
And speaking of which, I mean, like we said, we did that history run last week on New Zealand Pro Wrestling history, and that history continues to build here, Papa Spokes, as we're talking about these companies and the
Yeah.
shows they're putting on and the things that they're doing. We're continuing to contribute to that history as we're watching and putting it out there for everybody to understand. And I hope the more people, if anything, with this will start to look in on IPW, SPW, and these companies out of New Zealand. Look at the talents there and everything they've done collectively as a country to really put on some great professional wrestling. I mean, kudos to the people of New Zealand. Kudos to all of our friends there that support this show, have been on this show, anything. If you've retweeted us or, shouted us out on social media, we love you for it. Thank you very much, everybody out in New Zealand. One of these days, Papa Smokes, maybe you and I will have to make a big old trip out to the way of New Zealand or something like that. Maybe we need to show up at a SPW show or an IPW show, or maybe a few of the shows there. Maybe the Video Bros need a little run out in the
tour
NZ there. Yeah. I think one of these days we'll get around to it before we're too old and decrepit to be able to make those kinds of trips anymore.
That's a fine idea. But I wanted to mention also that for any of the wrestling fans out there, such as you and I, that like to watch independent shows, looking for something new, looking for something different, looking for indie wrestling where the superstars of tomorrow are kind of coming up, it's sometimes sort of a daunting feeling when you look at the North American scene, because there's a million companies and there's so many wrestlers and so much stuff going on. Sometimes I think, I'd like to get to all this stuff. I'd like to watch it all, including stuff in other areas of the world and other countries, but there isn't time, it's hard to watch large chunks of new stuff to see what you're going to like. But through this podcast, we've gotten our eyes open to the New Zealand scene, and Australia's to a lesser degree. But in talking about New Zealand scene, I love it. The two companies we've covered have been every bit as good, if not better, as a lot of the American companies we've watched. And I'm talking about some of the higher end indie companies in the States, such as the Chaotic Wrestling, or the PC Ultra, or the GCW, that sort of thing. The big indie companies, I would say that these New Zealand companies are every bit as good as those, but with a different take on things. They're not being influenced by all the other companies around them. They're their own thing down there in New Zealand. So if you're interested, check it out, because it's solid indie wrestling, really, really good stuff, and every bit as good, but just that little bit different than the stuff that we normally watch in North America.
Yeah, and again, we've said high praises for like all those North American companies as well too. It's just that this is something completely different. Again, we've said it before we went on here. Again, when people join us on the show, we feel more inclined to that support, as anyone would. When you get an opportunity to hang out with somebody, you get to interview them, anything like that, you get to know them a little bit better, you're more inclined to want to support those people in everything they do. So we kind of have that great tie with New Zealand now that we really want to support our good friends out there. Same we do with everybody who's ever come across Ring Respect Radio. We always are in support of everybody that out there is in this business, this industry. And that's what we're all about here, Papa Smokes. And we've been doing this for years now, putting these people over, and we're going to continue to do that all through 2025 and beyond. We're going to continue to put people out. So I want to know from you watching along with live right now, or whether you're watching on replay, what other companies are out there? Is there other companies that you would like Papa Smokes and I to check out? An indie company in your neck of the woods that you think might be of interest for us to come check out sometime. So let us know in the comment section if there's any that Papa Smokes and I should be checking out in the not too distant future. And we're going to have a lot of great stuff coming up here on the channel. Papa Smokes, a lot of great shows coming up. We are going to be running that trivia again here this month, probably closer to the end of the month, but some other things in the meantime and in between time, of course, are going to be coming around. Bobby saying that Donovan Dijak with St. Laurent against Tom Lawler at MLW Super Fight on February the 8th. That sounds like a good match. I know that they just did some changing of the champions. Delmi Exo is once again the featherweight champion after the long run of Janai Kai. And the King of Bros, Matt Riddle, now the MLW heavyweight champion. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is it Super Fight or one of the other ones coming up, that Riddle's first defense is a triple threat with Kojima and Alex Kane. And Alex Kane looking a whole lot different these days, looking a lot more stylish, a lot more dangerous, Papa Smokes. And I think that maybe there might be a second coming of Alex Kane coming towards the top of MLW. I don't know if the King of Bros is going to hold on for too very long.
Well, very interesting. And I hope that MLW continues to make some good matches and get some of that heat back that they had during the great times when we were watching, more towards 2020 kind of time when they had some really great talent there. But I like the MLW. I think they're going to be back as one of the bigger, more independent companies in the States.
Yeah. So what do we do this, Pop Smokes? February 8th, it sounded like there might be a good couple of good matches on that card. It's live on a Saturday on YouTube, free of charge. Not that we're going to do a watch along, but why don't we do this for a change? Why don't we say right now, Thursday, February the 13th, that you and I might get around to doing an MLW review for the first time in a while. We'll give Superfight an opportunity and maybe make that our Ring Respect radio topic of that week.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. I felt kind of bad leaving them in the dust a bit, but let's get back to it. Okay, I'm down.
All right, sounds good. We will go that direction. But that is going to be our show for today, which means that we got to spend that money on that beautiful looking ticker down below as Papa Smokes lets you all know where you can find them.
All right, Papa Smokes can always be found on Elon Musk's free speech wonderland known as X. I am at Smokes_Papa, and I'm also on Twitch at Papa_Smokes_.
That's Papa Smokes. I'm Bobby Munson over in the X Real Bobby Munson, Instagram and Threads at Video Bros SK, Twitch at VideoBro_Bobby Munson. And on the blue sky, it's Bobby Munson. All the other stuff that comes after that, you can read, you can go type it out yourself. You can find me on there, where you can find me here on the channel. Of course, this Sunday, it's Point of View. I'm going to be joining the boys back on screen for talking all the week in sports, but I believe this week we might even do a little bit of trivia on the show, a little NFL trivia as we're getting into the playoffs now, Papa Smokes. So we might have a little bit of fun with that on Point of View this coming Sunday. Of course, you can catch myself and Papa Smokes every Saturday on Prairie Pro Wrestling's YouTube channel, where we're calling all the action. And of course, we got only another week or two, Papa Smokes. Saturday, January 25th, the Tables, Ladders, Chairs match comes out to YouTube, and I'll tell you, it's going to be red hot. People are excited for it. And the week after that, the following week, we have got the crowning of the tag team champions, the very first tag team champions at IPW. That match is coming out the week after the TLC match. So a couple of back-to-back bangers there for you, the fans. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, all those wonderful things. And over here on this channel, OLE Podcast, I want you to go ahead and check us out on all social media, as well as YouTube and Twitch, where you can go ahead and follow us on Twitch. Subs are nice as well, too. And here on YouTube, we encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up, turn on that notification bell, and leave a comment. We're always checking those comments out and trying to get back to each and every one of you. That's going to be it this week on Ring Respect Radio. From myself, from Papa Smokes, we will see you next week. Take care, everybody.